myths and lies that you hear about selling are in general?
Well, there's a lot, and I hope I don't step on anybody's toes here. Okay, but when because some of your people might be going, wait a minute, I believe that. When I had new salespeople, I had to overcome several things that they would believe coming in. And one of those, have you ever heard this? It takes an average of 7 closes before you get a sale. Have you ever heard that?
Yep, I've heard that.
Yep. Okay. Let me tell you that's a myth. Let me tell you where that came from. In the 1950s, there was an advertising agency that did a focus group. And I think they had like 12 people in the room, and they were studying how many times somebody would have to hear the name of the company before they could remember the company, before they could remember the name of the company. And it was 7 times.
Got it.
That didn't mean they bought anything.
Sure.
It didn't mean that they wanted anything. It didn't mean that they were good prospects. None of that mattered. It wasn't anything like that. They just remembered the name of the company. So that's where that came from. Then that started being written in advertising books, and that got picked up by sales books, and that became the gospel, and now everybody thinks it's 7 times. And so when I would be on stage and I would be asking people, have they heard that? And they go, yeah. Then I would say, okay, I have a question for you. And I'm asking, a group of maybe 100 or 200 people or something. I'd say, think of the last thing that you bought that you really liked. Something expensive, something you really wanted that was really, really expensive. Okay, let's say your last car. How many closes did it take before you bought it?
Right.
And the answer is either 1 or none. It's pretty darn quick. Okay,
right.
You really probably wanted it. So it's not 7. It's not 7 closes. Now there could be I don't know what the statistics is, but there could be you might need to make an average of 7 calls before you get an appointment, or you might need 7 contacts with a company or with a person before they'll agree to see you. That could actually happen, I suppose, but it's never an average of 7 closes to make a sale. It's never 7 sales calls to make a sale. I mean, I've heard those things. And I have an average.
I agree. I just don't agree with those numbers either. I've always wondered about that, and I just don't see it practically happening. And I find it's either they're calling pre-sold, or it's 1 or 2 attempts at it, or it just doesn't happen. And then I can put in the long-term follow-up, and it is what it is. But I agree, and I've always scratched my head at that one because it just never made sense. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, yeah, but that's a real common thing, and I've been told that by people that have been selling. I've an ad rep came in here, and I said, well, I'll try. I'll create an ad myself, and I'll put it in your magazine. And he goes, well, you have to do it 7 times. I said, why would I have to do it 7 times? He says, well, it takes 7 exposures before they'll buy. I said, no. I said, have you ever heard a joke? He goes, yeah. I said, how many times do you have to hear the joke before you laugh? Once. I said, is it funnier the 7th time you hear it? No. I said, right. The first time you hear it, you're going to get the best response. With ads never gain in power; they lose power. That's why ads change. With more exposure, an ad became more productive and more productive and more productive, we would still be hearing things like, "Where's the beef?"
Right.
We'd still be hearing that, for Burger King or whatever, whoever it was that said, "Where's the beef?" Anyway, another one is selling is a numbers game. Now, that's not actually a myth, but it's misunderstood. Selling is a numbers game in that, let's say you're making cold calls and you have a list that's not completely qualified.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through the names. You do have to go through the names before you find a qualified prospect. So I guess it's a numbers game that way. But when you're selling, once you contact somebody and once they agree to see you, or once they agree to, talk to you, it's not a numbers game, because I have to tell you, if you're better at it, you're going to get dramatically different results than when you're brand new. It may be at the first thing when you're first contacting people, when they don't know you at all. But there's a vast difference between somebody that's, doing it the first day and somebody who's been doing it 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it can appear like magic. New people, if you're a good salesperson, new people might think, you're doing something magical, or you're hypnotizing people or something. Also, this is my favorite one. Every no gets you closer to a yes. That's my favorite one. That's not true. Every no gets you closer to another no. Because, you're saying things that are making people say no. Okay, you're not asking the right questions. If you were presenting your product and presenting your offer in a way that perfectly matches what they want, that's obviously worth more than you're asking for it, okay, and you're giving them reasons why now is a good time to get it rather than later, every no doesn't get you closer. If you keep getting no's, it's because you're creating those no's, see? And I just think that's wrong. Now, every no, if I ask you this, if I called you up on the phone and I said, do you like butterscotch, and you said no, well, yeah, every no gets you closer to a yes, because I'm just asking if you like butterscotch, and then the next guy, eventually I'll run into somebody that says, yeah, I like butterscotch. Oh, okay, great. So I guess every no does get you closer to a yes for that. But if you're doing presentations, if you're actually selling a product or selling a service, every no you get is an indication that you're not, you either didn't match the product or the service to the people perfectly, you didn't qualify really well, or you're calling a bad list, which is usually what the problem is. Usually you're talking to the wrong people, and that's the biggest mistake that people make when they're brand new. They'll talk to anybody. They don't know that there's a vast difference between somebody that's highly likely to buy from you, based on all kinds of criteria, or they're highly likely not to buy from you based on all kinds of criteria. They don't know the difference. So they'll talk to anybody, and one of the big secrets of sales success is stop talking to people that are almost certainly not going to buy from you. Don't spend time with those people.
Fish on the right pond.
Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, go into the right pond.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A guy once said to me, he said, Claude, you're just going for the low-hanging fruit. And I said, no, it looks like that. I said, really what I'm going for is fruit. Okay? I said, I know you have to know the difference between fruit and rocks. I said, there's a lot of people that gather up baskets and baskets full of rocks, and once in a while they'll get an apple or something, and because they're all kind of the same shape, they kind of look the same. You have to know what the fruit is. I don't mind climbing up a ladder or going out on a limb to get a piece of fruit, but I have to know that it's fruit before I do that. So buyers, you have to find people that are more likely to buy from you. For a lot of different criteria that you can do to make sure that they're those kind of people.
Okay. So